If you're at all like me, you probably love your electronic gadgets. But are these gadgets posing an unnecessary risk to the safety of you and your family? And if they are, how do you go about mitigating that risk? We're going to talk about that next, right here on Tech Talk. With the rise of online retailers like Temu, Alibaba, and Amazon, more people than ever before are buying more tech than ever before, and they're buying it from a wider array of manufacturers. And we all want to believe that these retailers, they're all looking out for our best interests and making sure that the products that they sell to us are safe, but that's just not the case. When we look at the requirements for product safety, those requirements really fall on manufacturers. It's up to a manufacturer to make sure their product is safe. The retailer just sells what the manufacturer gives them, so it's not really so much on them. Now, this fact has led to some bad outcomes recently. We're going to take a look at a couple of news stories. This first one is from New Zealand, and this happened just on November 23rd, 2024. A couple were using some cheap USB cables they bought off of Temu to charge a phone, and those cables overheated and caught fire and did significant structural damage to their house. Now, fortunately, in that situation, everybody got okay, nobody was hurt. Temu did launch an investigation, and that's still pending as to what happened there. A slightly more tragic incident happened in Jamaica on January 11, 2025. In this case, a 5-year-old child was killed in a house fire, and as it stands right now, that house fire is believed to have been caused by a faulty phone charging power block. It seems that that block overheated and caught fire and led to that house fire. And I think we've all seen videos of exploding lithium-ion batteries. We've seen them here on YouTube and elsewhere. We know the hazard that those batteries tend to have in them because they can short out and they produce very intense fires. And so it's really important with lithium-ion batteries that we're buying quality. Now, the issue of electrical fires isn't something that's minor and rare. In fact, I was looking at a study just this afternoon. It looked at a 5-year period in the United States from 2016 to 2020. And what they found during that 5-year period was that an average of 30,000 structure fires a year were caused by faulty electrical equipment. Now, that includes all kinds of electrical equipment, but it's 30,000 fires a year. That's a big, big number. So with these kinds of tragedies happening and with these kinds of numbers for fires, how do we go about protecting ourselves? What steps can we take to help ensure the safety of ourselves and our families? Well, one way we can help ensure the safety of our families is to make sure that every electrical item we purchase is certified by an appropriate certifying body, and ideally one that's appropriate for the geographic region in which you live. And I'll give you an example of this. Now, I recently bought a replacement bathroom light fixture, and I bought it from an online retailer. Now, when I opened the box and I went to install the thing, I was kind of looking it over, and the build quality was just okay. But one thing that stuck out to me was that the wires that led to each lamp, and each lamp was rated, it was 3 lamps, each rated for 60 watts. Each of those wires was really, really thin gauge, like they were really tiny, flimsy wires, and I couldn't recall ever having seen such small gauge, flimsy wiring in a household lighting fixture before, and it kind of got me thinking. So I looked over the packaging, I looked over the lamp everywhere, and I couldn't find a single safety certification on that lamp. There was a single sticker that said made in China, and that was it. So I ended up sending that lamp back because here's the thing, a lamp like that, you're going to put it on your wall, you're going to wire it to your household wiring, and now 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, that thing is going to be sitting there with a charge powered to it. And if there's any faults in the manufacturing, whether it's the bulb holders, the wiring, and let's face it, a light is a simple thing to manufacture, but nevertheless, if there's any faults, it could show up 6 weeks from now, 6 months from now, 6 years from now, and lead to a tragic outcome. There could be a fire, there could be an electrical shock, there could be all kinds of things that happen. So I just decided that given the sketchy construction of it, and given the lack of a safety certification, I wasn't going to install that light. And it kind of got me thinking about electrical safety in general. And what I found out was that in Canada, where I live, every single device that connects to household electrical current, whether it's installed as part of the wiring in the house, whether it's plugged in like a lamp, doesn't matter how it's connected, if it takes household current at all, it must have a safety certification from an accredited certifying body here in Canada. Now, there's similar standards in the United States. The United States has more of a patchwork quilt of regulations because states and regional municipalities tend to have more of a say in the building codes there. But generally, over most of the states, it's the same idea. A nationally recognized testing laboratory has to certify every single electrical device for sale and use in the United States, or it can't be installed in your home. So our federal government certainly look at these safety certifications as being important. And it's important for us, I think, as consumers too as well, because I've been ordering a lot of tech gadgets from different parts of Asia, from different platforms, and I'm starting to notice that not all of them have a safety certification. Some have a type of certification, sometimes has nothing to do with safety at all. And you really do have to wonder about whether those are devices you want in your home. We've seen 2 examples of fires caused by USB type devices. We know it does happen. And here's the thing, typically for chargers, like, do we really think about when we're charging our phone batteries and our laptop batteries? I've got a massager that I charge all the time. I don't think we do. We're not thinking fire safety when we plug in our phone. You know, if you're like me, your charger's plugged in all the time, the cord is dangling on your nightstand, and every night you go to bed, you just plug the phone in. If that charging block or that cord isn't manufactured well, if it's not safe, there's a good chance something could go wrong when I'm not even aware of it. I'm asleep, I'm away at work, I'm out of the house, whatever. So it really is, the safety of these electrical devices is really something we need to start thinking about because the incidence of electrical fires is on the rise. So what do we look for then? Well, let's take a look at that. When you buy an electronic device, whether it's a gadget or a charger or whatever, often you'll see on the package a whole lot of symbols. And I'm going to give you an example. I recently bought a mini projector. And when I looked on the back, you can see here, there's just a ton of little codes on the bottom. There's a CE, an FC, there's a little house, PSE, just a ton of codes in the packaging. And these are all different certifications that this product purports to have. But the question is, what do these certifications mean? If I'm thinking about safety, in particular fire safety, which ones should I be looking for and which ones don't really mean anything? Well, I'm going to show you a chart right now that I've put together recently, just out of my own curiosity. And what it does is it talks about some of the major and significant safety certifications we see here in the West. And in the West, I mean, you know, the United Kingdom, Europe, and North America. I kind of focused on those areas because that's what I'm familiar with. Let's take a look at this chart and see what we have here. We're going to go from top to bottom and just quickly describe each one of these certifications. So the first one we see the CE mark. Now this is a mark that says an electrical device meets the standards of the European Union. It's safety standards, electromagnetic emissions, hazardous substances. It covers all those things. But it's important to note that this is a manufacturer affirmation. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's been tested by an independent body. It's just that the manufacturer is attesting to the fact that yes, this meets the requirements of the European Union. Now, some products and some electrical products are mandated to be tested in order to get the CE mark, some aren't. So whether it's tested or not is a little fuzzy, but not all products are. The next one on this chart is CSA. It used to be Canadian Standards Association, now it's just CSA Group. In the United States, it's a nationally recognized testing laboratory. Here in Canada, it's called an accredited certification body. Every electrical product that bears the CSA mark is tested and certified for both safety and performance. Similarly, for the ETL logo, which is our third one, that's done by Intertek, another nationally recognized testing laboratory. It certifies through testing that any electrical and gas-powered product that bears its mark is compliant with North American safety standards. Now, this next one is interesting. This FCC mark is from the Federal Communications Commission in the United States, and you'll see that on a lot of products. And many, many people think that's a wide-ranging, broad safety standard. It's actually not. The FCC mark is, again, a voluntary affirmation by manufacturers that their device meets limits set by the Federal Communications Commission in the States for electromagnetic radiation. So it is not a general safety standard. It's not saying this thing won't burn your house down. It's not saying it won't give you electrical shock. It's just saying that, like for microwaves, if you turn your microwave on, it's not going to kill your Wi-Fi. That's all it's saying. The next one is the National Sanitation Foundation, the NSF mark, again, a nationally recognized testing laboratory. that does wide-ranging safety testing and certification, and it's valid all over North America. The next one, the check mark with the RoHS, is interesting. That's done by Integrated Assessment Services, and all it does is it certifies that a product is compliant with the Restrictions of Hazardous Substances Directive. So it's more of an environmental certification that's saying there's no harmful substances in the product, which is good news. If you ever swallow your USB charger, it's probably not going to kill you, I guess. The second to last one is the UKCA mark. Now this one's really interesting. It's a United Kingdom mark saying that a product meets the United Kingdom safety standards. It's basically identical to the first one we looked at, the CE mark. What happened is when the United Kingdom decided to break off from the European Union, they did Brexit. In 2020, the United Kingdom decided they wanted their own safety certification. So they did the UKCA mark, but it's basically functionally the similar, if not the same, as the European CE mark. Now the last one, the UL mark, is from Underwriters Laboratories. Globally, it's the most widely recognized safety mark. They're again a nationally recognized testing laboratory. They test all the products to make sure they meet safety and suitability standards, and that goes in both Canada and the United States. As all the nationally recognized testing laboratories are certified in Canada for safety testing as well. So if you want a copy of this chart, I'm going to make it available on my website. You'll see this video posted on my site, and in that blog post you'll find this chart. I'll put a link down below in the description as well if you want a chart like that for yourself so that you can check when you buy products if they've been safety certified. That'll be made available to you. And one thing I would say about this, you'll note that the European safety certifications are all manufacturer attestations, whereas here in North America, we insist on actual testing. So I kind of like the CSA, ETL, NSF, and UL marks because I know that those products actually been tested to make sure they've been safe. And it doesn't mean I would reject a mark or a product that has the CE or the UKCA mark. They aren't valid here in North America. They won't meet building code if it's something that's being attached to the electrical in your house. But I wouldn't necessarily dismiss it out of hand because, you know, there is standards around those marks. It's interesting to note the CE, even though it's a manufacturer attestation, anyone that fraudulently uses the CE mark on a product can be liable to up to 14 years in prison as a result. So it's something that the United Kingdom and the European Union take seriously, the use of these marks to make sure they're only on products that really are deemed safe. So now what is the job then of these safety certifications and safety marks? What are they really protecting us from? Well, any electrical device carries with it some risks, and those risks primarily are risks of electric shock, risk of fire, risk of device malfunction and data loss, and health risks from toxic materials. That's kind of the biggest group. So when you're buying an electronic device, a piece of tech, whatever it is, anything that requires electricity, by having one of these safety marks on it, you've got some assurance that these products have been tested and examined to make sure that those risks have been minimized. Of course, nothing's perfect. It doesn't mean a product with the CSA mark or the UL mark can't fail, it can't catch fire, it can't give you an electric shock. It just means that the product's been tested and it greatly reduces the likelihood of those things happening. Because the problem is many counterfeit and many non-certified devices, they cut corners in materials in manufacturing. And that's a real problem because it can lead to unstable power delivery, it can lead to overheating, it can lead to short circuits. And that's why purchasing products with a proper certification is so important, because it does give you some confidence that the product you're buying isn't subject to those corner cutting measures. So when we look at everything that we've discussed here today, what's the key takeaway? Well, the takeaway really is to always check for safety certifications before buying electronic devices. It's so important. You don't want to have something plugged into the electrical in your home, or you don't want to have a lithium-ion battery sitting in a counter somewhere that is a hazard that you have no way of knowing about. You know, a few extra minutes of research can protect your home, your health, your family, and it can protect your wallet. So, you know, safety is never an option. It's something that's absolutely necessary, and I think we need to start taking seriously because we are seeing more and more products out there that don't really have safety certifications attached to them. So thanks so much for tuning into this video. I hope you found this discussion helpful. Stay safe with your technology, and I'll look forward to seeing you on our next video.